our artists that we're featuring.
Thanks for asking me.
Well, it's lovely, and I have to just start by saying, what is that in behind you? That is so stunning.
This is one of my favorite types of pieces to do. It's very organic, it's very colorful, it's very textural. There's lots of different techniques in there. It's almost all wool. There's a little bit of leather, a little bit of silk, a little bit of twine, but there's the Prodi technique, there's punch hooking, there's rug hooking, and roving that I pulled through.
So would you would say this is in the rug hooking family, but the rug hooking family expanded to bring other techniques in?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes, and I love combining them all into one piece. I think that's sort of my thing. And the frame is actually copper piping that I've bent into the shape and then soldered it together, stretched the linen over the piping, and then hooked directly on that.
So you solder as well?
Yes.
Well, that's very impressive. It's so you've just told us that you really like merging techniques. Is there one technique you like better than another that you keep coming back to, or you just keep experimenting?
Every time I learn something new, it becomes my new favorite. So I went back to school last year full-time to do a fiber arts degree, and I thought by doing that it was going to narrow down what my specialty was going to be. But then one of my teachers said to me after 16 weeks, this is your thing. Your thing is combining lots of different techniques and materials into one piece of art.
So sort of a fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost like, I mean, we see that in other areas. We see that in cooking. Like there's a lot of fusion of different culinary practices from around the world. So you're a fiber fusion specialist.
Yeah, I would say multidisciplinary fiber artist.
Multidisciplinary fiber. Okay. Oh, that's excellent. Is there something you're working on right now? I see you've got something on your knee there.
Yeah. So I'm actually curating a large rug hooking exhibition right now with 45 different rug hookers from around the world. It's called Magnificent Bugs and Rugs.
Magnificent Bugs and Rugs.
Bugs in Rugs.
Bugs in Rugs. Oh, yes. I love it. That's beautiful.
So each artist that I invited to participate selected one magnificent bug, and the only stipulation there was that it was a certain size, 18 by 24 and horizontal, but they could do whatever they wanted, and they're pretty incredible. So of course I'm such a procrastinator, I've left mine to the end. So I'm working now on the dung, which is going to be for the dung beetle, which is my bug. So I'm going to do it separate to the rest of the piece. So I'm actually using a punch needle, an Oxford punch needle. This is the side I work on, but the other side's the loopy side. And then I'm going to weave into the dung copper wire, leather, sparkly yarns, and wool, and I'm going to weave it on top and then stuff it so that the dung is three-dimensional.
So when you say weave it, is that like, so you do the background first and then you...
Yep, I'm going to put these on a needle and I'll go through the loops of the punching, sort of a surface weaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, and so this is your dung beetle contribution.
Yes.
And is there, like you said, this was the dung.
This is the dung.
Is there going to be a beetle part as well?
Yes, this is going to be stitched onto another rug where I have the beetle.
Okay.
And actually the Milky Way, because what I've discovered was dung beetles navigate using the Milky Way. Did you know that?
No.
So if it's a cloudy night, beetles, they just go in circles because they can't find the direction they're going. So you'll often see them climbing up on top of their dung to look at the stars and the sky and figure out which direction they need to go. Yeah, so I'm going to put that as my background, which will be a challenge.
Well, this has been very instructive. When you said dung beetle, I thought, wow, you really were the last person to choose the bug.
But actually, I was the first.
Okay.
I don't know. I just find it fascinating. It's also the strongest creature on Earth for its body weight. It can move more than an elephant could for its body weight. So and I'm actually co-curating this with a friend, Leslie Knight, and we're writing a children's book to go along with the exhibition. And all the profits are going to go to running workshops for children, because I just feel that this could become a lost craft, and we need to encourage other generations to learn to rug hook. So we're thinking by doing a fascinating topic like cool bugs, that children will come and they'll see the rug hooking and they can try it when they come to see the exhibition.
Oh, that sounds very. When is that going to be? We just have to.
It opens this August, actually down at Sauder Rug Hooking Week in Ohio, but then it's going to come up to Canada, and it will work its way across Canada. And then I have the rugs for 3 years.
So if somebody wants to know about this, is something that'll be posted on the Arts Burlington site, or where could they find out about it?
Well, right now they could follow Magnificent Bugs in Rugs on Instagram. But yeah, it would be nice to bring it to Burlington. I'll have to approach them about that.
Okay, well, I hope it does. Thanks for telling us about that. So I had a question here, and I think we've already wandered into this territory, but I'm just going to throw it to you anyway in case you want to add something. And the question is just about your designs and your materials. Is there anything in particular that inspires your design or your choice of material?
I mean, color is huge for me. I gravitate towards certain colors, and also certain days you feel like working with certain colors. So sometimes when I'm doing a piece, I'll go into my studio where my stash is, and I'll pull some colors together, and then I'll start hooking a piece like this. I've done another one in totally different colors as well. So I think shapes and colors, sometimes nature. It could almost be sort of like an agate shape, or maybe grains of wood.
It sounds as though you don't always start with the end in mind, that sometimes you start and just progress toward
Exactly. So I wouldn't draw that out. I would just start in the center and then wherever it takes me, which I love.
So it's like the way a painter might work, more so than
working with colors and blending them together, and painting with wool.
Is there a particular inspiration you could think of that kind of came to you from somewhere that was pretty unique? That when you think about all the pieces you worked on, was there one that was?
I mean, I started out doing traditional rug hooking, and I actually was discouraged. I wasn't enjoying it until I took a workshop with an artist called Gail Dufresne, and the workshop was on alternative fibers and techniques. And the first thing she said when she walked into the room was, "There are no rules in rug hooking." And I was like, this is my girl. So actually, I created this piece in that class. So I did this like 10 years ago.
I just want to make sure we're getting that nicely in there. That's good. I think we've got that better in the frame now. So we've got like a nest with eggs and sort of
So it represents my family. I have 4 daughters, so I've needle felted the eggs to represent my girls. And it has rug hooking and proddy and yarn wrapped around wire. It has feathers, and so that was probably the first piece.
That's an actual feather we can see in there?
Yeah, there's quite a few feathers in there.
There are feathers. Oh, yes. Okay, I see now,
guinea hens.
Of your guinea hens. Okay. Well, that's beautiful. Do these pieces get named? Do they have names?
This is called nesting.
Nesting.
Yes. And this one is called expansion. So yes,
Expansion.
I do name my pieces.
What else have you got to show us, Sarah? See, you've got some other pieces on your feet.
So we have a show coming up, the spring show in Burlington at the art gallery. So I've been doing jewelry. This is a technique called quilling. As you would quill paper, you can quill wool. So this is a necklace. Either wear it long or double it over. So I'll be making some quilly necklaces for the sale. And I've also been wet felting with wool. So here's a brooch. This is also a stitched wool brooch.
That's beautiful.
So I think for the spring show, I'll do lots of jewelry.
Well, we were going to ask you about if you were preparing anything for the spring show. So the quilly necklaces.
Yeah,
And
definitely some felted brooches, some stitch brooches, and maybe some pillows. This is a wool applique. It's called wool pennies, and it's hand stitched. So maybe I'll do a couple of these for the sale.
And how would you make that into a pillow? Like you make the top first and then make it into a pillow? I see. Okay,
Exactly.
that's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And those are called pennies.
Pennies.
Oh, here's another pillow.
There's another one. This is a punch needle, and I've punched it right onto the wool fabric.
He's adorable.
Thanks. Some applique, and then I've braided the outside of the pillow.
Oh, tell us about that. The braiding.
Yeah, I started that during COVID. I joined a guild in Pennsylvania, and at first it was to learn how to finish off my rug hooking with a braid, but then I wanted to learn how to braid entire rugs. So this is the first one that I made.
Wow.
It's
that is
covered in my
beautiful.
dog hair, but yeah, so I'm going to be teaching a workshop to my guild on this in March.
And you said it was covered in dog hair, so you actually have this on the floor. This is
It's
a
been on the
functional
floor for a
piece.
couple of years, and it's probably my border collie's favorite spot to lie.
Is that
Yeah,
okay?
because
All
it's
right.
nice and thick.
It's interesting because my son has a little rug cooking piece that I did for him, and he said that it's where the cat always wants to go. So there must be something about the natural fibers maybe that
I think
attract.
so. And you know what? They watch me, and the minute I take something off the frame and put it down, they're on it, testing it out.
your little four-legged testers, product testers.
Yes.
That's really interesting. So you mentioned I wanted to ask you about the sale that's happening. So Arts Burlington has a sale twice a year in the spring and at Christmas. And artists are invited to prepare things to put in the sale. So you mentioned the quilly necklaces and the brooches, some stitched and some some. Did you say wet?
Wet felted.
Wet felted.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Wet felted. Now I've heard of felting where things are just wool's compressed, but what does the wet have to do with
It's
it?
like magic. So you take wool fibers, just very, very fine, thin wool fibers, and you lay them across one another. And then when you add soap and water and a little bit of agitation, the fibers magically bond together. And then the more fibers you add, the thicker the felt gets. And yeah, it's so fun.
And that's how you created the little, I was going to say poppy. I don't know whether it's a poppy or...
It's a flower.
That's how you created that flower,
Yes.
was it that way? Wow. Okay, so that's wet felting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because you mentioned felting that, I think you said you felted something on, one of the pieces was it the little...
Yes, that
rabbit
was
or-
needle felting. So you use a barbed needle to prod into the wool fibers, and then that's another way of getting the fibers, because that would be dry when you're needle felting. But with the wet felting, it's water, soap, and agitation.
So if somebody comes to the sale, they're going to be able to see examples of all these things you've talked about?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what about, is there a chance to actually talk to artists, learn more about it, do you know? Or
Yeah, we always have volunteers from our guild at the event, so you can speak to our artists. Yeah, I hope to see you there.
Well, that's excellent. When you, just one other question for you that you can kind of reflect on a bit, take some time if you want. But when somebody buys a creation of yours, whether it's a piece of jewelry or a piece of functional or something they're just going to put on the wall to enjoy, what do you ever have any hope of what they'll experience or how they'll interact with or experience your piece?
You know, I love it when people come into my studio and ask if they can touch something. For example, I hooked a ram's head recently that hangs on the wall there, and people always ask, can I touch him? And there's something about fiber and textile art that is just, I don't know, it's just so soothing to touch and also to wear. When people look at my work or buy my work, I know that there's someone who values something handmade. something made with love, and something that's local. I try and buy a lot of my fibers locally as well, and it's sustainable as well, whole fiber.
Well, and not to inadvertently advertise another craft sale, but it sounds like they're one of a kind. What you're talking about. I mean, it isn't. Someone's not buying something that there's 10 of them.
Absolutely, there's never two the same.
Right. Excellent. Well, Yvonne, thank you so much for taking time and for bringing. Did we get a chance to look at everything that you brought?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you for bringing this, and it's been really fun for me to hear about what you're doing. I know it's going to be fun for everybody who looks at this video, and to make sure that if they've got kids, or even if they're a big kid themselves, to look for that magnificent bug in a rug. Bugs and rugs. Magnificent bugs and rugs. And I guess if you just Google that, you'll probably find something, right?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well,
Super.
Good luck with your dung beetle.
Thank you.
I'm never going to feel the same about dung beetles again, or rug hooking. I love the idea of fiber fusion, and keep going.
Yeah. And also recycling too. You know, a lot of my work has recycled fibers in it.
Yeah.
And
Excellent.
It's wonderful. So
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here.